Hey, it's Thursday evening, and guess who's here? Welcome to the Hammer Fist Podcast, live from MMA Fight Pass. We're actually live from the Spike and Rail here in Selma, California, taking care of those people that take care of us, that's for sure. Come on and check out the barbecue house. Also, Glepler Digital Media, those people keep us online. Visalia MMA, Eddie Aguirre out there for all your combat sports needs. And Alonzo, about millions, man, taking care of us. And 559 Fights coming up, April 19th. We got a full house tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about, as we always do, all the combat sports. But tonight we got Fresno City College in the house, and some of it's, what do you want to call them? Some possible prospects, current students, participants, athletes. We're going to talk about the season, their program, and get down to business. But I want to say welcome to the Anaconda. He's back. My co-host, Tom Owens.
Back again. It's been a while, guys. It's a pleasure to be back.
Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And also we want to welcome those who are also going to join us tonight. Tom, go ahead and kick over, man.
Yeah, you know what? It's an MMA podcast, and as many of you MMA fans know, and we've discovered over the last 15, 20 years, MMA, a huge part of it is wrestling. You know what I mean? And we've seen the great champions out there, Randy Couture, Matt Hughes. The list goes on. The list goes on and on. And yeah, if you're in MMA, you know, like, wrestling is a super important part of it. It's a huge interest of mine. And, you know, I'm a jiu-jitsu grappler and train all the traditional martial arts. But as I got into MMA and started to fight, I learned real quick wrestling was a huge part of it. And if you don't have wrestling, you're missing a huge aspect of this sport. And so this is a real honor to have these guys here tonight. These guys have been around wrestling a lot longer than I have. I imagine since you were a young kid, you know, you guys, as you were young kids, you were in wrestling. And to start off, let's go ahead and introduce the group we got here. These guys are a big part in Central Valley wrestling coaching and competing. So yeah, I'd like to start right here with my right. And let's go around and just introduce yourself.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate being here. My name's Paul Kisa. I'm the head wrestling coach at Fresno City College.
My name's Jose Mendoza. I'm assistant wrestling coach at Fresno City.
My name's Luis Ramos. I was a wrestler for Fresno City.
I'm George Moreno, assistant wrestling coach at Fresno City College.
What do you think about this, man?
I think it's awesome. This guy, those that have been around wrestling for a long time, when I mention Paul, everybody's going to know, especially you're involved in mixed martial arts, you're going to know this guy. Basically, they're saying his claim to fame, but we say it because it's someone familiar who we know, but actually wrestled and beat Randy Couture.
Hey, that right there says a lot, man. I imagine to you it's probably a real honor just to have competed with Randy. Did you fight Randy Couture? And explain to us how that went down.
Well, it was a long time ago. I actually wrestled Randy twice in college. My junior year, we wrestled. Both times we were in the National Wrestling Tournament. First time was my junior year. We wrestled in the National Wrestling Tournament, and coming back in the consolation bracket, and Randy actually beat me that year. I think it was like maybe 5-1. Randy went on. I think I'm not sure exactly what place he placed. I don't want to misspeak that. I ended up 8th that year. The following season was my senior year, Randy's junior year. Randy's a little bit older than me. You know, I'm sure most of you know. He went into the Army out of high school and was in the Army for 4 or 5 years before he came back to Oklahoma State. So, you know, Randy was a 27 or 28-year-old junior in college when I wrestled him as a senior. I was a 22-year-old senior in college. And my senior year, we wrestled in the finals, and I actually won that match, became a national champ, beat Randy 4-1 in the national finals, and that was a great match. And here we are. I think that was 28 or 29 years ago. And since then, Randy's gone on to be a UFC Hall of Famer and a legend. But you know, Randy's still a great compadre and a friend to wrestling. You know, we just had a fundraiser last year, and he sent some memorabilia over to us that we, you know, were able to auction off and raise a little bit of money off for our program. You know, he's been nothing but a great man, great ambassador, and
true gentleman.
True gentleman, absolutely. Yep, great man.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet Randy just backstage at a WEC one time, and it's one thing I always say about wrestlers, and I didn't start wrestling until I was probably like 30 years old, 28 when I started doing MMA. And man, it's something, if I could go back in time, like I definitely would have jumped in wrestling back then. You know what I mean? Something about every wrestler I've ever met in jiu-jitsu or MMA, you guys just have a certain respect about yourself. You hold yourself in a different manner. And I don't mean just on the mat. It seems like you guys take that into life with you, and it's just something different, man. You don't see that of every person out there. And what do you attribute that to? What do you guys attribute that to? Because is it the tussle that you're getting with another man, the respect? I mean, how do you feel about that? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, not my language, but it's called the American martial art, and it's the same. We treat it the same way. There's a level of respect that you develop coming up through the sport, competing one-on-one, that maybe we wouldn't get competing in a team sport. It's a little different, so it's kind of the same thing as fighters. I think fighters kind of have the same level of respect for one another. When you're competing against each other in a one-on-one situation, that's usually what kind of develops out of it naturally, I think.
And man, that really follows through in life, don't you agree? Like in the jobs and things like that, and just the way that you communicate with people later on down the road.
Right. There's a lot of stuff out in the media, Forbes and all these companies that do research that talk about how wrestlers are highly employable and they're desirable in the workforce because of those kind of attributes that they have. Hard work, dedication, respect, work ethic, things like that. So those are things that kind of carry on into the workforce and in everyday life. So.
And young man, how old were you when you started wrestling?
6 years old.
6 years old. And just to get an idea yourself?
I was 8.
8 years old?
I was 7.
11. I would be considered kind of a late bloomer. Yeah.
Now, man, guys, you know as well as I do, today's day and age, all these kids on these age, all they're doing is they're on this stuff right here. And man, I just see the difference of kids that go, this stuff's cool and everything, you know what I mean? But man, to be on a mat like that and learning those skills at that early age, that's got to do something for you later on in life. And man, if I had kids, or I recommend to any of my friends out there, like jiu-jitsu, judo, especially wrestling, you can get your kid involved in something like this at an early age. Tremendous, man. Tremendous.
It is, and one word. Actually 2 words: the grind. And it's true. You do that. I mean, it's a work ethic. It's a base to learn. Like we say in fighting, if you're going to learn or compete in mixed martial arts, a good base is wrestling. While a good base in life is wrestling because of the grind. In high school, in junior high, I played football and wrestling. When I wouldn't play football, I wrestled, stayed conditioned.
Yeah.
Played football, it's like that. And I got 2 grandsons that are living 7 and 11, and that's what they're doing. This is their first year of wrestling, but they've been playing football for 3 years already. So now the conditioning, and then we just started spring football. They said, Grandpa, it's like nothing. Yeah, because you're conditioned. But they have the work ethic to do it, and really they became leaders because of that. A lot of kids are like, God, how in the heck can they keep their mind focused on their task being so young? But and I think that's part of it. I think that contributes a lot of it, like that. Because there's times, I know when I was a kid, there was times you go in there and you're working out conditioning and you want to quit, man.
Yeah,
it's hotter than hell. You can't breathe in there, man. How in the hell are we supposed to be training? You can't breathe, But you fight through it, and you get through it. And the next group of kids coming in there, they're like, how in the hell can you breathe? And you were there once, so I mean, but you condition your system to it, grind right through it, and it's like that. I mean, now, I contribute a lot of the stuff that I go through in life right now. I'm a stage 5 kidney patient. I do dialysis every day. I only have 6% function in my kidney, but I'm used to the grind. See, it's a mind, it's mental. I get through it. I know things are I can't change it.
Nope.
But I know I can take measures to help preserve what I have, but I continue to have to work. And that's the same way. That ethic came from that. So I think contribute a lot to that wrestling. And then actually in life. Because if it gets to the point in your life, I know a lot of guys that I grew up that wrestled, and some, their kids and stuff do it now. And or even friends of mine who kids that do it now, they get in a situation in life where the regular person just say, God, it's not meant to be. Dude, put work in, man. Nothing's meant to be unless you put time into it.
Hard work and dedication.
Yeah, and that's it. A lot of people will break and not do that, but I know a lot of guys that it's not a coincidence, because I don't believe in that, but I think a lot of contributors do that. And
So what do you guys, obviously you guys are continuously pushing, and how do you go about getting kids into it? Are you looking for certain things, or how does it work for you guys? You're at a college level, right? A JC level?
Correct. We're at a junior college level.
You have scouts who's constantly watching the high school scene to pick out these kids?
Yeah, that's what we do. We keep our eye on the California scene up and down the state. So we watch a lot of wrestling, and we keep up with names and look at results, and try and create connections in the community as much as we can. We have a youth club that we run out of the college as well, and we just try. We have a camp that's gone on for how many years?
Since I've started, so this will be the 13th year of the camp.
So we keep, we try and keep our
summer camp. Is it a summer camp?
Yeah, this summer,
okay.
Into
This is
July.
coming up soon, right?
Right. Something that
we don't have
as a regular guy. Say we got a lot of young kids that are doing jiu-jitsu and stuff right now. And if you guys watch jiu-jitsu and MMA, especially Brazilian jiu-jitsu, one of the weaknesses are takedowns, and takedown defense. So right now, you're seeing it through in these tournaments. A lot of jiu-jitsu guys are adapting wrestling into it. And man, it's making a whole different level. It's changing. It's totally evolving.
Changing jiu-jitsu.
Yes, changing jiu-jitsu big time. And then we got a lot of real talented wrestlers coming into jiu-jitsu. You guys know Matthew and Eric Holguin?
Yes.
Okay, so they're two local brothers that are from the area. I think Matthew made it to a pretty high level this year, right?
Yeah, he's not bad.
Yeah, pretty talented.
It's pretty good, huh?
Pretty talented kid. Hey, I was real good friends with his father. Extremely talented kid. We've got his younger brother Eric doing jiu-jitsu with us right now. First day on the mat. This kid has been wrestling since I'm not sure what age. Oh, dude, just complete different beast.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've noticed that when these wrestlers, when they pick up the jiu-jitsu submissions and the defense, it's a beast. It's a whole different thing. And it's the same thing for jiu-jitsu guys. They pick up the wrestling, the defense, the underhooks, the clinching, that tussle.
Right.
Changes everything. I see grappling, man, it's changing. Do you guys pay attention to jiu-jitsu
Yes,
and MMA?
very much so.
So man, I'm impressed. It's I don't know if it used to be like this way back in the day, but it's evolving into something I never thought I would see. But I love it, man. I love when wrestlers come into jiu-jitsu, and I'm loving to learn any wrestling that I can get.
Well, I think a lot of what you're seeing is an outlet for wrestlers, because there's no outlet for wrestlers. Before really jiu-jitsu came along, and jiu-jitsu is extremely organized, and they have all these tournaments, and they're well run, and you move up ranks, and wrestling is not like that. So wrestling's a weight class, and when you get into the senior divisions, then it goes by age groups, usually 5 or 10 year gaps.
Okay.
But there's no separation as far as skill level. The only separation is weight. So, if you're a 30-year-old and you want to pick up wrestling, there's no weekend tournaments that you can go to and kind of grapple with some buddies,
Right.
Your only outlet really is, wrestling's a young man's sport, really, in America right now. And so your really only outlet is to get into a high school room or a college room and roll with those kind of young guys. So I think what you're seeing is the influx of all these high school and college wrestlers who were wrestlers and are extremely athletic. And typically wrestlers, you know, no, I'm a wrestler at heart. I love wrestling. I want to talk wrestling any day. But typically wrestlers aren't the greatest athletes. You know, we're typically not the greatest basketball players or the greatest baseball players. We're typically not really good at tennis. What we're really good at, though, is getting somebody into a closet and being one of the only ones to come out of that closet. You know, we're not sure like what goes on in that closet, but we're good at coming out. So that's wrestlers, and I think that speaks to the work ethic and all that kind of stuff. So
that's one of my biggest things. Where does that come from?
But I think that comes from what? Yeah. Well, you know, there's no one out there with wrestling, kind of like jiu-jitsu, but I don't know. I think it's an inner pride. You learn it as a little kid. There's, you know, one of the, you know, I have a hard time saying this word, but one of the worst things that you can do in wrestling is to quit. And so you can't quit. Quitting's not an option. I don't believe in quitting because you know, you quit now, you quit on your wife, you quit on your kids, you quit, right? Once you quit, you always quit. I have a story that I tell every year, huh, Louis, about quitting, and
please tell us, man.
I don't know if it's appropriate now, but
hey, it's a podcast.
It's very appropriate because it's all about learning.
But it is, you know, once you quit, you're always a quitter. You can never come back. And so once you quit once, it's always easier to quit again. You know, we're in college. Once you miss class the first time, it's easier to miss class the second and third and fourth time. You know, in wrestling, once you get beat once, it's not easy to lose again. If it's easy to lose again, then you need to get another sport because you're in the wrong sport. You know, I didn't lose a whole lot in wrestling, but I can tell you almost every kid I ever lost to from third grade on, I could never come close to telling you the people I've beaten. And I don't mean any disrespect by that, but that's just wrestlers. You know, we don't usually count how many wins we have in a season. We count how many people beat us during a year. So, you know, that's just a wrestling mentality, and you know, just to strive for that and work for that and try to be the best. And I think that the camaraderie and the humbleness comes out of knowing what each of us have put in, the time and energy and the pain and suffering and the bleeding and you know, the smashed dreams, but you know, yet the reality of your dream coming true. And you know, I'm a college graduate, George is a college graduate, you know, Pepe's a college graduate, and hopefully one day Luis is going to be a college graduate. I can honestly speak for myself and Coach George and Pepe. Without wrestling, we would have never graduated from college, ever. You know, I may be a white guy, but I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't have a lot.
That did the wrestling.
The wrestling gave me an opportunity to go to college.
To get into college.
And then I took care of it, right? I went to school, I did my part, and graduated.
As wrestling coaches, are you guys like pushing your wrestling students to achieve those other scholar, you know what I mean, math, English,
oh, absolutely.
Sciences,
we want our kids to graduate.
The very reason that we mentioned earlier is that there's really not an outlet. A lot of these, you know, football, basketball, baseball, there is an outlet for those kids to where they can fall into a minor league, major league, professional deals. There's really not a lot for wrestling guys to fall back on in terms of professional sports or any kind of lucrative deals that are out there. So you have to stress the education part of it because they're going to end up
academics.
Yeah, they're going to end up in the workforce.
Yep. That's cool, man. So you got a lot of knowledge right here, young brother. You do, man. You got how old are you?
19.
You're 19, man. What it was like to be 19. Man, when I was 19, I'm not bragging, but I was just getting in all kinds of mischief. It would have been really tremendous for me to have like peers like this. You know what I mean? I hope you really take it far, dude. What are your goals? What are your main goals in life right now with this? What are you gonna take it?
I don't even like. I want to get past college for sure. That's the main thing, but like. I don't know. That's my main goal right now, just to get a college.
You guys, I always ask every wrestler. You guys obviously watch MMA, right?
Yeah.
And do you ever have any aspirations of, you know, maybe taking your wrestling and going into that route? I mean, it's got to be appealing to you guys. Wrestling is one of the most dominant parts of MMA. You
see more and more college graduates.
Have you ever helped anybody like in MMA?
Yes. Absolutely, quite a few kids. You know, we've had quite a few kids come to our room. We've had quite a few fighters come to our room and train.
Local athletes.
And we've got one of our assistant coaches, Luis Hadegui, has fought in the 559 fights. He's fought in St. Mark's Center. Luis wrestled for me. He's been an assistant coach for me for years.
Bellator card as well. On one of the
Bellator card. Yeah.
What do you guys think about it when you go to these shows? Do you guys go to the shows?
We do.
Absolutely.
Now, I know it's a whole different sport and it's a whole different outlook, but you guys obviously see different holes that this wrestling can be applied, right?
Right.
It's got to be interesting. For me as a jiu-jitsu instructor, I see those type of things. But man, for you guys as a wrestler, there's so many opportunities to use that wrestling.
Well, you dictate where the fight goes. If you want to stay up, you stay up. If you want to bring the fight down, you can bring the fight down. So that's kind of where that's the big kind of X factor, I think, with the wrestling ability is you can dictate where the fight goes.
That's why I always point out Randy Couture. Like, a lot of people have kind of written Randy off, but hey, Randy Couture, if you paid attention to him, he really showed the world like the true importance of a tussle, of that upper body. Yeah, that upper body. Is that Greco that he's mainly using?
Yeah, he had a very extensive Greco-Roman background.
Was that your main thing in wrestling as well?
No. So Randy competed a lot international style. So he, when he was in the Army, that's what he did. He competed in Greco-Roman.
What was that? What style was that?
That's basically folk style. So the United States is the only country in the world that wrestles folk style.
Is that a mixture of Greco and freestyle?
No.
Folk?
It's its own.
It's its own.
Is it its own?
It's its own. It's
Can
basically.
you explain that to us a little bit?
So Greco-Roman and freestyle are kind of known as international. They're the international styles.
Okay.
Greco-Roman basically is you can't touch from the waist down. I can't use my foot to trip your foot.
Okay.
I can't use my hand to touch anything down below your waist.
Okay.
Everything is from the waist up. It's an infraction and a penalty if I use my hand to grab your leg, or if I trip you, if I use my knee to block your leg, anything like that. Freestyle is no holds barred wrestling, basically.
It's all legs.
It's all legs and everything, and it's all about exposure and exposing someone's back. You don't necessarily have to have control in freestyle to earn points and gain exposure points. In the United States, we wrestle folk style, or collegiate style, folk style, and basically there's three positions. You have your feet, which is very similar to freestyle. It's on your feet. You take someone down. Kind of similar rules as to freestyle on your feet. You take someone down, you gain control, you get points. And then in folk style, you have to be in control to expose someone on their back to gain points. Pins are the same. I mean, if I put your shoulders on the mat, I pin you. Same thing in freestyle, Greco-Roman, or folk style. The big difference in really folk style wrestling is what we call mat wrestling, the parterre, top and bottom. So in folk style wrestling, the bottom guy needs to fight to get out. He just can't lay down there. He has to work and get out, or else they will call him passive stalling. Folk style and freestyle, the onus is on the top guy to turn the bottom guy. The bottom guy's only goal is to not get turned, and he's not penalized for not doing anything. His job is to not get turned.
Okay.
So
a lot to it.
There is, I guess, a lot to it, yes.
Hey, so what Randy Couture, like in your guys' opinion, what Randy Couture was using in there, and it was really dominating everybody, was that upper body clinching. Is that Greco mainly?
Yes.
So that's a good. Okay.
Yep.
And then the other one that really made wrestling famous when MMA came to light was Mark Kerr.
Yeah, definitely.
Mark Kerr, just the smashing machine.
Yeah.
He'd go in there and
So
utilize.
Mark Kerr was in my senior year when I wrestled Randy in the finals. Mark Kerr was in that bracket also.
Oh wow.
Mark Kerr in 1992 beat Randy Couture in the national finals. So
Animals, dude.
Mark Coleman
crazy,
won that weight class, I believe, in
too,
1989 or 1988. Mark Coleman, of course, you know who Mark Coleman is. So that 190-pound weight class has had quite a few big-time MMA guys come through there. You know, Tito Ortiz was 100
pretty high level
for junior college.
Yeah.
Tito wrestled at California Community College, which is what we coach at Fresno City College. He's a two-time state champ. And then he went to Cal State Bakersfield, but then his kind of MMA career kind of blew up, and he went on that route rather than the school route. But Tito was a two-time junior college state champ at Golden West Junior College. They actually have dropped that program now. So,
what are you guys taking it from here? What's going on next for you guys? I know you got the wrestling summer camp coming up, right?
We got camp this summer. We're recruiting, still actively recruiting kids. And
how old are the kids that need to be involved in this?
Well, we are recruiting kids for our team next year. So we're recruiting seniors that are graduating that have not signed with four-year schools. So we're doing that. We're setting our camp up for the summer and getting our guys, you know, in their spring training and weightlifting and wrestling and stuff like that, and getting ready for the fall because we compete in the fall. So
and we have club.
Yeah, our Ram Wrestling Club that's run out of the college is going all through the summer. Coach Kisa sporting the RWC polo, but we're doing that all through the spring and deep into the summer. So we stay pretty busy.
Now, in the last 10 years, we did a little research. It looked like you guys have won 8 out of the 10, something like that.
That's solid research right there.
Right?
Yep,
We won a lot.
Hey.
solid research.
Hey, but is that 8 out of the 10 last years? You guys have won something like that, close to it?
We had a couple of strings. This last one we've been on has been 3 in a row. So we've won 3 state championships in a row. We've won some state dual meet championships in between there. A couple of runner-up finishes, and then there was another string of 3. So,
hey, and what do you would? I mean, we're here in the Central Valley. There's not a lot of things for these kids to be doing. Obviously, it's one thing, but I've noticed something about the Central Valley, man. There's a tough DNA running around here.
Yes.
There is, man. Like, you guys are going against all these top schools from all over California, right?
Right.
What do you guys attribute it to? I mean, really, what do you attribute it to with these kids being so tough around here? It's really something
I'll give you my
else,
take.
man.
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm born and raised Pennsylvanian.
Amish.
No, I'm a little north. I'm right on the New York State border. That was good. I love Amish food, though. We do have Amish in my county, absolutely. But the Central Valley is the blue-collar part of California.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here you got people who get up and work 9 to 5. They work, you know, some of them, if they're lucky in the valley, they get to work 9 to 5. You know, this is a lot of these kids are first-generation college kids. A lot of these kids are on the, you know, middle class to lower socioeconomic scale of things, and I mean, that's the Central Valley right there, and I think the people of the Central Valley reflect that. I mean, to me, you know, the Central Valley people are kind of salt of earth people. You know, that's just kind of what you have here. And you know, the other thing that I think's indicative in the Central Valley is you have generations, you know, of wrestlers. You have families of wrestlers. You have grandfathers who have wrestled. You have little towns like Selma and down in Visalia and in Madera and in Merced and all these little towns where you have generations of Tovars and Mendozas and Ramoses and Cisneroses and you know, Quintanas and, you know, all these great names that are generational names, and I think that's one thing that helps, you know, breed that wrestling.
Seems to be a lot of them around, like Von Hitchcock, and did you guys know him, the Hitchcocks?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he was the wrestling, or one of the Hitchcocks was the wrestling coach at Redwood.
Redwood.
There. Phil Sullivan, does he ring a bell to you guys? Philip Sullivan,
Yep.
He was an older
guy.
gentleman. Yeah, he came in and helped us out in the MMA scene. Super knowledgeable though, and then the stories that came out of the guy was
You had the chair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
chair.
really interesting people. Shout out to the Farmersville guys. You know, Farmersville, we got the Team KO, small organization, but they're just all about the kids with the wrestling and stuff. But
The
man.
Olea brothers.
Yeah. The Cisneros brothers there in the jiu-jitsu now, you know, Alex Cisneros and these other younger kids, but yeah.
I hear they're pretty good at jiu-jitsu. Is
Yeah,
that true?
they've taken that. The Cisneros brothers have taken that wrestling and put it into a real good jiu-jitsu academy, and they're some of the best in California right now. Some of the best in the world.
Oh yeah,
in
they're
jiu-jitsu right
ranked
now,
up at the top.
and they're always
Yeah.
getting that takedown when they want it. You know.
Well, you know, and that's generational. I mean, they're tough. Their brothers wrestled, and they were raised in that household,
Yeah.
and that's something that they're used to. And I think work ethic is something that's taught, and it's learned. It's not something given. You know, I think God gives us a lot of things, and He gives us the ability to have it. But you have to earn that work ethic. You have to develop it. You have to get up in the morning. You have to not feel good. You know, it's tough to go through a season at City College San Luis. It's tough. It's tough to come and work hard every day. It's tough to make those sacrifices. And And I see a lot of young kids. You talked about this thing right here. And I think this makes it easier to be not tough.
Yep.
And
most definitely. Most definitely.
And so
it could be a wonderful thing. You can learn all kinds of cool stuff on it, but it's getting wasted a lot.
It's shortcut. It takes out the work. Like if Vitality showed me long division, and you're going to go on that. I want to see the work. That's what that does.
Yeah.
It takes away all the work. So the kid, they might be savvy mentally, technology-wise, but if you have them do something physically, it doesn't. They don't produce like that too. That's the struggle I deal every day with my grandson. I'm a guardian of my grandsons, and that's one big deal that we struggle with, man.
I know, they're always
when they're athletes. Like right now, they're in the season, but we see them sneak it out back to play Fortnite or whatever the heck like that.
Yeah. As a little Fortnite.
Yeah, last year I never heard of that damn thing. Now I have jackets and everything. Fortnites, but
it's big, dude.
Yeah.
You guys play Fortnite? Come on, give it to me. Is it real?
I don't play Fortnite.
That's all good, man. So when you guys aren't in season, you guys are still going for it though. Like, what does the off season consist of?
Split days, couple days of weight training, couple days of wrestling.
So you guys are still on the mat?
Oh yeah, all throughout the spring and into the summer, and obviously, for our kids who are in junior college, community college, the spring semester, which is not the semester that we compete in, is really, geared around academics for these kids to take maybe a bigger load and focus more in on the schooling part, because it is hard during the season, and we're competing and traveling every weekend. So the spring semester is when they focus on their school, maybe take an extra class here or there. But our wrestling room is open. We have split days of lifting and split days of wrestling. So
it's always going on. Are you guys always open to anybody coming in and training with you guys, like from other schools or teams?
We do, and that's what our wrestling club is for.
Yeah.
That's what our wrestling club is for. It's sanctioned through. It's sanctioned through the two organizations that promote amateur wrestling, California USA Wrestling, and then SOA organization. So if you have one of those cards, you can work out in our room.
That's how it works. So, what's the attitude like? Like, say it's off season, and then you got maybe a different camp or a different school that wants to come in and just get some cross training. Is there still a lot of respect there when you guys will train together and work?
Yeah. Our doors are always open. And Coach, as I said, we had a handful of professional fighters come in the room and use us kind of during the competition season.
How's it going, guys?
To train for fights. I have Billy Evangelista, who fought for Strike Force, came in and trained.
That's a brother of ours.
Zoila Frosto came in and trained at City College for a period of time in the build-up to some of their fights. So we're open there.
MMA fighters, we're always looking for good wrestlers.
Brandon Cash was a Fresno City City alum before we coached there, but he had a pretty good fighting
and I imagine you guys, do you watch a lot of UFC?
We do. Yeah.
Did you watch that last fight with Kamaru Usman and Tyron Woodley?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of people were talking about that, I think. A lot of people saying it was boring, this and that. But man, I thought that was a pretty beautiful display of control and wrestling in that fight. Tyron Woodley's no joke. Yeah. And he made it to a high level, right? In wrestling.
He was an All-American at the University of Missouri.
Okay, so he's All-American.
That's pretty high level.
Now Usman, the way he went in there, that was pretty methodical, right? What did you guys think about that?
He did. He fought a smart fight, and Kamaru Usman is a high-level wrestler as well. He didn't compete.
Is he somebody that you guys saw during the wrestling career?
Woodley more. Kamaru, I think, I'm not 100% sure what level he competed at, but he competed at the 4-year level in the United States.
Division 2,
yeah. Talk about. So what's higher? Division 1 is higher than 2?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. It is higher. It's Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, California Community College. If you want to look at a pecking order, there's a kid who was a Division 2 national champ who just competed. His name's White. He just wrestled for Nebraska this year, and I think he was 4th or 5th at the NCAA Division 1 tournament. So there's kids that make that jump, You know, there's some intermingling there. So just because you're a Division II guy doesn't mean you're not as good as a Division I guy. Just because you're a Division I guy doesn't mean that you're not going to get beat by a Division III guy. So you know, a lot of that.
You're going to see a Division II guy fight tomorrow night, I think, on Bellator. Joey Davis, who probably could have easily been a Division I guy. Who just decided to go to Division II
Is he a
route.
guy that you guys know about pretty well?
Yeah, there's a book coming out on Joey right now.
Oh, really? Who's he fighting?
I don't know who he's fighting. I just read that a bunch of people are backing out.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. They had a last minute fill-in, but he's fighting on the Bellator card in Temecula tomorrow. Somebody. And he was a Division II national champion. I think he was undefeated in the Division II.
4 years.
Undefeated four-time Division II national champion.
Now, did you guys were you guys watching UFC like back in the Royce Gracie days?
Yeah.
Okay, so out of all the UFCs, like from the very beginning till now, like who was the first guy you really saw like that took that wrestling in there and really put it down? Dan Severn?
I think Dan Severn was the guy.
Dan Severn. What's up, gentlemen? Are these some of you guys' students?
Yeah, we'll get these guys.
Yeah, come on in,
Couple more.
You guys join in.
All three of these guys were teammates on the team this year. Yeah. Louis Ramos was a state finalist. Mario, say hi, Mario.
You guys introduce yourself to us.
Mario's a state finalist, and Daniel, they're all state finalists. Daniel's a state champ.
Daniel's a state champ.
Daniel's a state champ.
My brother, Tom Owens. Bush Ronquillo.
All right, guys.
You guys all know each other? Yeah, so you guys wrestle with these guys?
Yeah.
All local guys? Born and raised here?
Yeah, sir.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
All right.
Madera
So
boys.
are you guys off season right now?
Yeah, we are right now.
Just enjoying it?
Yeah.
Still training hard though?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Stepping in the rooms, rolling around a bit.
Nice. So we're talking a little bit MMA action. You guys obviously probably watch UFC and MMA and stuff, and I think every wrestler, when you look at it, I mean, I just look at it. Wrestling is such a dominant part of it. You know, does it ever come in the back of your head, like maybe later on down the road, I might want to jump into something like that?
Could be a possibility.
Have you thought about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your guy that you look at out there in UFC and think, you know what I mean? As far as wrestlers go.
Cejudo?
Cejudo.
Oh, well, for sure, Henry, man. You got
Is
it.
he a beast in wrestling?
That guy's an Olympic champion.
Oh, really?
So
medalist,
that's
man.
as high as you can go. There's
Gold
Henry
medalist.
Cejudo never wrestled in college.
U.S.
He went from high school straight to the Olympic Training Center and was, I believe, the youngest American gold medalist in wrestling history.
At
At
the time, yeah.
the
Is he one of
time,
the highest wrestlers to go in MMA?
yes. Was there any other gold
No,
medalists?
the other,
He's the only Olympic gold medal.
yeah, he's the only one with the gold.
He
He's
actually
the only
went
one
into
with
the
gold.
OTC as a women's training partner. He was a training partner for the women's team.
Oh, really?
Pursued his own route into the senior level.
Trip, man. It's a trip. You guys go to these local MMA shows and trip out on them, or what?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's been a while. My cousin's a fighter, so usually gets us in there.
Who is it?
Jose Navarro and Jimmy Navarro.
Sure. They're
Yeah,
local fighters over there.
Yeah.
What about, how about the jiu-jitsu, sport jiu-jitsu scene? You guys ever trip out on that?
I always looked into it. It was really cool.
Have you guys ever went into a jiu-jitsu dojo and just kind of rolled around?
No, but when I was in the Army, one of the guys there was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I like rolled around with him a bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty interesting flow mixing them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always love it, man. Like some of our best partners that we have in the jiu-jitsu room right now, like Eric Holguin is one of the young kids, and man, he's showing us the takedowns and we're showing him the chokes and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. So are you guys all involved in the summer camp coming up? Will these guys
Yes,
all
I'll be helping
or-
out.
And
Yep.
where's this taking place at exactly?
Gosh, I wish I knew right now. You know what? We don't. Fresno City College's gym's getting redone this year. They're tearing up the floor, so we're actually scrambling to find a location for our camp. The camp's going to be either the third week of June or the fourth week of June, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. July. Second or either the third week of July or the fourth week of July. You can find the information at Fresno City College Wrestling.
Okay, Fresno City College Wrestling.
You go to our website,
Yep.
and we'll have our camp information posted up there. Camp's open to anyone who wants to come, all ages, all levels. We try to split it up, and kind of keep beginners and a little more experienced, and expose the kids to. It's a wrestling camp, so we just do wrestling, but it'd be great for young jiu-jitsu guys or jiu-jitsu people who wanted to learn some takedown defense, or even just some basic stuff to roll around. You say your groove or the feel or whatever.
You guys work like, if a guy came in there and was wanting to work like some Greco clinching off the wall or something like that, you could specifically go into things like that, or I'm sure you probably look at MMA and see all types of openings.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That the average guy wouldn't see. And we've always got guys just take down defense off the wall, or what to do once you get taken down.
Right.
I know you guys look at that a whole different way.
You know what? These guys do this every day in the room, because when we wrestle live in the room, there is no wall. So if you get thrown on the wall, wrestling doesn't stop. You keep going. So, a lot of these things you talk about are just natural, inherent things that we, not that we teach them, but I mean we teach. Just because you get thrown into the wall doesn't mean you get to stop. Keep going.
Right. Now,
that's how I take these guys down, by the way. I can't get them any other way, but I gotta get them in the wall.
Hey, while we're thinking about it, we want to shout out one of our local guys here, Alex Perez. He fights this weekend too. And,
West Hills College.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to Alex. We don't call him the Decision anymore because he's been knocking people out.
Yes.
So hopefully.
You got an MMA fight going on? Or?
Yeah. UFC. I believe it's Saturday.
35s is going on.
Yeah. He made the big time, right?
Yeah.
That's
a lot of adversity, that kid.
Absolutely.
And he continued to work at it and grind, and he made it.
I'm super proud of our local scene, man. I'm just super proud of it. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all these things we got going on. It's really something else, man. The Central Valley has seems like not a lot to do, but once you can get into something like this, take it to the next level. Also this weekend we got we were talking about the Cisneros brothers a little bit. They're a wrestling family that came up from the area, super tough kids, but now they've also ventured into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Those three brothers are three of the best in the United States at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They train in Visalia at Elite Team Visalia.
Yeah, aren't they doing a seminar or something?
It's a free seminar.
On Saturday.
Yeah, it's a free seminar on Saturday. Hey, if you're a wrestler, you're brand new to jiu-jitsu, or you've been training jiu-jitsu, these kids are really the next level of it, and they got the wrestling, the judo, the jiu-jitsu, and they got really great attitudes and mentalities. They compete every tournament, and man, I just want to, it's free. It's open to any academy, and if you're into jiu-jitsu or wrestling and you want to just kind of get a little look at it, you don't even have to get on the mat, just get in there and watch. Hey, don't miss out on it, you know what I mean? Ton of stuff coming up. We got 559 fights, Grappling X with Corey Cass. That's coming up. It's almost full if you guys want to compete. If you're a wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy, coming up quick. And it's already 70% full. We got that coming up.
Yeah.
What else do we got coming up, big guy?
Oh man, well, Tachi Palace fights coming up May 10th.
Tachi Palace fights are gonna be sick.
Pro fights coming up, and then obviously every weekend there's fights this year. I mean, the UFC's busy, the local shows are busy. Just support the sport, wrestling. I mean, the lower level. I mean, we got kids out there in Iowa today. This weekend in Iowa.
What about Conor McGregor retiring, dude?
Who?
We can't forget that.
Who?
I forgot about
I like
him.
the other guy. I like Khabib. As a wrestler. What do you
Hey,
think
what do
about
you guys
his
think of Khabib as a wrestler?
He's an animal.
The dude's an animal.
Is he like as
Well,
far?
I mean, that just shows wrestlers don't have an out. Khabib shows what the next level for wrestlers are. We don't get to go to the NFL or the major leagues, I mean, there's no place to showcase our skills. Khabib showcased wrestling skills right there, the mentality, the ferociousness, the fearlessness of it. He was not afraid of Conor from start to finish. And I think the other thing, too, that gets underestimated with wrestlers is athleticism. I said wrestlers aren't necessarily great athletes. We're not great athletes, but it's amazing what wrestlers can do as far as balance and coordination and, how much pain they can take and keep moving forward. And I think a lot of times jiu-jitsu people are kind of taken back by the intensity of wrestlers.
Most definitely.
I think they're taken back by their core strength of wrestlers. I think a lot of times they're taken back by the ferociousness of wrestlers, and that's the one thing that wrestlers learn early on. You go on the mat and you better compete When you come off the mat, you're a gentleman. You shake hands, you walk off, and you act like you've been there before. And if you got your ass beat, well, then you got your ass beat. You go get better and come back and try to win again. If you don't win, well, then you keep going, you get better, and you come back and try to win again. Just because you get your ass beat doesn't mean you can throw your ass and show, and get all upset. And it doesn't work that way. You got beat by someone who's better, so you get better. You keep working harder. That's a wrestling mentality, and it kind of goes along with jiu-jitsu the same kind of way. Jiu-jitsu people are very respectful. You get beat, you got choked, I got to work on this, I got to work on that. It's not like you stand up and taunt someone, and wrestlers are very particular on things like that. These guys have wrestled for me. I expect them to be appropriate. I don't, you don't taunt. You're not better than anyone else. You do your job. You do it well. You do it to the best of your ability. You get off the mat. And I think we carry that over in life, and that's something that our coaching staff, we try to emulate and put out there. You talk about young kids, they can be influenced, and I think they need to be influenced more by people with work ethics and principles. And wrestlers stand up for principles. We stand up for things we believe in. We protect people who can't protect themselves. I think that's just part of the nature of wrestling, and I think society might need to maybe come more back towards that.
I think we definitely need that. We definitely need that.
These guys are respectful young men. Any one of three of these guys can, take care of themselves in pretty much any situation with any person on earth. Maybe there might be a couple of Brazilian black belts that might get them, but that's about it. I'll put my money on those guys anywhere, and in
life, not just that. I guarantee you guys, man, if you keep these coaches' mentality, later on when you go to college, a job, a relationship, a marriage, it's going to come through with that. You know what I mean? And this is really cool, man. This is really, really cool. How much time we got there, big guy?
This is something new. Let's get off of that. I want to go ahead and get with the guys. Okay, we're going to put you on the spot here. It's not a game show. I just want to go ahead. I know through all the years, or you can bring it to current times. Talk about one of the experiences, and you can do it because it's a podcast. I don't care.
Yep. Open game.
If this is not PG.
That means you can talk really loud,
the experience about something that happened that you have to go back and tell everyone about. Take your time, think about it, and share with us. That stuff we normally don't get to hear, and the people out there want to hear the experience on the road. We have the high school kids on here, and they've talked about some of their stuff.
Don't be shy. Hey, what's the greatest thing that has came since you've been wrestling? What would you say is one of the greatest things that's came out of it for you?
Don't be bashful, Daniel.
Hey,
Daniel got to wrestle with his brother this year, Miguel. That had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, won a state championship.
Won a state championship.
You won a state championship?
These guys were, you weren't teammates in high school, were you?
Huh?
Were you a freshman year, senior? You guys missed each other.
No, I was an 8th grader.
He was an 8th grader as I got out.
Right.
Tell me this: where do you plan on taking this? Like, what is your goal with this wrestling? Honestly, a lot of us get into this stuff. Hey, when I started jiu-jitsu 20 years ago, I had no idea where it was going to bring me. You know what I mean? It brought a lot of wonderful, beautiful things in my life. But I wasn't thinking like into the future. But you guys are young, man. You can do anything.
Right
Do you
now,
see it? Any of you? Do you have a plan for this wrestling? Where's it going to bring you? Where do you see it bringing you? See it?
I think of it as like a stepping stone, like opportunities.
I'm going to WWE, bro. Not college.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone, I say. Like, gets your foot in the door.
How old are you?
22.
22. Okay. And
19.
19?
19.
You guys are so young, man. You can do anything in this world. You can really do anything.
Let me ask him some questions.
Yes.
Any one of your three parents, any one of your parents ever go to college?
Yeah.
One of your parents went to college?
I think my mom.
Graduate?
But in Mexico.
Well, that's fine. I don't care what country. But she went to college.
Graduated.
No.
So 2 of the 3 are first generation college students right here.
That's
Do you guys have any kind of goal of using wrestling to get to the next level? Do you want to wrestle past Fresno City College?
Yeah. Or else at the higher level.
How do you see yourself getting to that next level? What's?
I say continue putting in like the work, having the same mindset, just staying focused, just getting like show up to class, like stay on track, everything. Just using that to get to the next level.
So just to put this in perspective, like, we got some of their teammates, and hopefully they'll follow their lead, but Louis' workout partner this year, Isaiah Perez, is going to Fresno State to compete, and another one of their teammates is going to Oregon State. Daniel's brother is applying to New York University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Daniel's brother, they're from Madera. Daniel's brother, Miguel, did not take the SAT out of high school. He could not even have filled out the application for NYU in high school. But he comes to Fresno City College. He wrestled for 2 years, state placer. Next year he's going to be wrestling at New York University with another one of his teammates, Conrad Lopez. Both of Conrad's a Hoover High graduate. We got another kid that wrestled on our team, Kyle Jimenez, who's in Dickinson State, North Dakota right now. Another young man, Dylan Martinez, is in the University of Minnesota. Abner Romero's going to Oregon State. So there's been a lot of paths for these kids to follow. And I'm trying to get it out of them here on which path they want to follow. I can understand them not really knowing what particular college they want to go to.
I had no idea at that age.
But right, and I don't think
they
they do. They're more focused on coming back and wrestling next season. But Pepe is a prime example. Graduated from Selma High School, wrestled at Cal State Bakersfield, graduated with a degree from Cal State Bakersfield. We hired him this year. This is his first year with us at Fresno City College. He's been coaching at Selma High School, and he's been, working on his teaching credential. Pepe's going to work on being a teacher, and he's going to be a lifelong educator, and that opportunity was given to him through the sport of wrestling. All these guys are going to be given opportunities through the sport of wrestling to use them, and like you said earlier, it's what they do with them that comes through. But they're all great men. They work really hard, and they have bright futures, and those are because I say because of wrestling, of course.
So to piggyback off of what he said too is like that's one of my goals as a coach is to make sure these kids and these guys have that opportunity, like how it opened it up for me. That's kind of the reason why I think we work so well. We kind of have similar goals, and we're all on the same page. So that's what I look for as a coach, is to make sure these kids have a passion for the sport and look to do something with it. That's like what you're looking for, but and so that they have the opportunity that I had. So that's
really
why
cool,
I'm
man.
a huge advocate for this sport.
Well, all I'd like to say to you guys is I got a ton of respect for you coaches. Seriously, man, like a ton of respect for you coaches. And man, dude, I'm not even kidding. When I was your guys' age, I was in and out of ball, dude. I was doing all kinds of stuff, man. Like I got into the sport of grappling like late 28, 29, 30, and man, if I could have been wrestling at that young age, I remember. You know what stopped me from wrestling? I remember when I was in 7th grade. Hey, this is a true story. I remember the coach. It was one of the Hitchcocks, and he walked around that whole school. And he was recruiting kids. And I remember one kid told me, yeah, but you gotta wear this singlet, this thing. Hey, and I was into martial arts, like karate and kung fu. My dad had me and all this stuff. If I had only known, and I seen that singlet, and I go, no fucking way. Tall, skinny kid. Hey, it's honest truth. Hey, and there was a few of those kids I seen that went into it, and they did it all the way through high school. And man, they were just different dudes. They were different dudes, but man, like I really respect you guys for doing that. And man, you can really do anything you want in this life. That's one thing I do know. Like you can take this any route that you want. A coach, an Olympic athlete, wherever you want to take it, man. Just a good dude like these guys are. And I really hope that you guys do that. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming on the show.
We put on that singlet. That's what happened.
Hey, before we end, hey man, I want to thank Chris and Archie and John Carlton and his daughter and the family. I've been out of the podcast for a while, had a few issues, but this has been a real blessing to come back tonight. This is the first time I've been back to the podcast in probably 5 or 6 months. But super stoked to be back, man, and it was a real honor having you guys on the show tonight, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it. Awesome to meet you, man.
We want to give everybody an opportunity to shout out everybody that supports them and helps them out.
Yeah.
And then we'll
most definitely
take that opportunity.
You guys got any sponsors? Anybody you want to throw out there before we shut it down, or what?
Go ahead, George. I'll show you.
Serious. If you guys got anybody, hey, parents, uncles, anybody who might have got you in it.
Any fundraisers that are coming up that we need to be aware of, and, stuff.
You want to buy us dinner after? I mean, hey, filet mignon. I want to steak out.
I'll eat.
We'll have the casino night in October.
Casino night?
That's a pretty big one that we have.
Okay.
That's pretty fun too.
Yeah.
No exact date yet, but usually around the 27th of October, around there.
Is there a website that you guys got?
Fresno City College Wrestling.
Okay, Fresno City College Wrestling.
You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook.
Rams.
Yep. We always have Coach George always has a little instructional videos going.
Yeah, we got camp this summer, the end of July. Just definitely something that the youth community, the kids wrestling community should take interest in. We got Ram Wrestling Club Tuesdays and Thursdays at our Fresno City College, and then obviously Casino Night in October. Follow us on social media. Check out our website on the Fresno City College main website. We're there, so give us a follow.
Hey, and if you're a parent out there and you're thinking maybe, I might want to get my kid in wrestling or jiu-jitsu or judo or grappling art, hey man, give it a shot. It'll really give your kid something different than any other kid has. I guarantee that. Like just the mentality, the respect that they'll have for other people, the confidence that they'll have. I know you guys have a completely different confidence than a regular person. Super respectful. I really admire it. And yeah, thanks again, Archie Tovar. He's the man behind the camera. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, gentlemen, very much for this podcast. Really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Shout out to Spike and Rail here for taking care of us here in Selma, California. Also, Glepler Digital Media for keeping us online. Visalia MMA out there in Visalia for all your combat sports needs, and 559 Fights. Again, coming up. Actually, this year we're sponsoring 559 Fights. We're with them all 10 fights. We're our logo's on the mat. We're also going to have a booth out there. Going to be doing interviews afterwards, and also I think we got merchandise we're going to be selling too to help support. And especially shout out to Fresno City College, man, wrestling, taking the time out there, letting the community know, the awareness, what's going on, the availability, and the students that participate. Man, support the sport when you can. If they have a function or a tournament, go out there and support them, man. That helps the program and keeps things going so kids in the future, the next generation, also can compete. And that's it for us.
Hey, we're going big soon too, right here.
All right, man. All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Good to see you, man. You guys have a good night, dude. Thank you, sir. Honor to talk to you, man.
Good luck.